welcome to Jedi Jingle Maker. In this video, we're going to take a look at my new Firefly FFSP. It's a Les Paul style guitar, which I purchased for roughly $220, including shipping. And I just had to have it when I saw this beauty for that price. I have several other Firefly guitars, and I will deep dive into this one in this video, so I hope you will join me all the way to the end. Please don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button if you like this kind of content, and also leave a comment. Let me know what you think. If you have a Firefly guitar, your thoughts on these things that we are talking about in this video. So I believe this is a guitar done in the style of the Black Beauty, which is an Epiphone style guitar. It has the same kind of configuration with the gold hardware, the black inlays, and the 3 gold pickups. It's a very beautiful looking guitar, kind of stunning visually. Now we're going to look at the finish as we get closer. You know, one thing about buying a $200 guitar is that you can't expect the finish to be absolutely perfect. There are a number of minor finish flaws on this that we could focus in on. Just if we dive in, you can see areas like that that are a little lighter. You might see some other types of minor pitting or so on and so forth. But unless you get in there and microscopically look at it, the structure of the thing seems pretty good. But we're going to really get into it, and you'll find out a few things I really like about this, and also a few things that definitely are going to need some work. Let's get this thing on the examination table and take a look at every little part of it. In this video, we're going to look at every part of this guitar. I'm going to tell you all the pros and cons, and I'm going to, at the end, tell you about the next video in which I'm going to modify this guitar in many, many significant ways to make it into a real playable, giggable instrument, but that's going to take some work. So I've taken the truss rod cover off, and you can see that it's a little bit rough underneath there, and that these holes are almost a little bit delaminated right around the hole. I don't know if that's a problem. You probably won't take off this cover. I am going to take off this cover, so I do plan on making a modification there, putting in a little bit of that tester's paint to cover that up, because I'll keep that truss rod cover off of there. I like to be able to get to the truss rod. I really like the headstock on this guitar. The symbol is really cool. I like the logo. If you look carefully, you can see there's a little bit of a dip in the finish here, so it's not perfection, but you would have to look closely. Otherwise, nice looking headstock. It's not a copy of the Gibson. It's different enough that I think it's original, and I also think it goes well with the guitar, just the general size of it. Now, these tuning keys are not locking like some of the newer Fireflies. This is an older model. We'll look at the serial number, and I'll give you a quick understanding of how to read the serial numbers for these guitars. But these locking tuners are not great. This guitar, I will tell you, does not hold tune at all. It is an absolute nightmare. I found it to be very hard to intonate, so I don't know what's going on exactly with it, but it won't hold tune at all. One thing I'm sure of is that this bone nut is binding the strings. There's no question about that. If you bend really significantly on one of these strings, and then it'll go out of tune, and then you can press it here and put it back in tune. So it's just binding up in this nut. I've got the tools now to fix it, so in the next video you'll see me adjust the nut to get that just perfect, or maybe potentially replace the nut if it's cut too low. I'll put a new nut in there, but all part of the journey of getting this guitar to where I need it to be. Part of the idea of me purchasing and actually keeping this guitar, after I tell you what I found out about it that's kind of wrong with it, I decided to keep it anyway, and I found a couple things which are really not that great. One of the reasons I get guitars like this is to be able to work on them and be able to fix any problems I encounter, and this guitar certainly served me up several surprises. One thing you could point out would be that these inlays on several of them, not this one you can feel it's raised up, so you can feel a little on this one, just a little on this one, not too much on this one, a lot On that one, there's a significant amount of raised. This one is raised up. So this one not so much. So that's not a big deal. That's pretty easy to fix, but you know, you don't want that on a new guitar, obviously. Here you can feel a pretty significant one. And you can see a little glue spill out around some of these inlays. That's fairly easily fixed with a nice straight edge. You can just scrape that off and make it nice and even. I'm going to do that after I do a number of things to this fretboard. We're going to take the fret rocker and I'm going to show you the fret level of it currently out of the box. Okay, let's take this fret rocker and check out what's going on the fretboard. This will give you the ground truth. And I'll go quickly. If I hit a spot that is rocking, I will stop. Okay, we got our first one. A little bit of rock right there, and then more rock there, and then none. So just a little bit on that fret. Okay, a little bit right there. More there. That one's pretty high. Yeah, same there, still there. So it's all across this fret. Just a tiny amount there. A little more there, none there. Okay, so just the middle one on this fret. Okay, definitely rocking there, decent amount. Definitely rocking there. Definitely there. Yeah, so this one's really high all the way across. Tiny, tiny amount there. None there. So just one little spot. Probably hit that with a fret hammer. A little bit of rock right there. A little bit more there. And none. So just right in here. A little bit of rock right there. A little bit there. A little bit there. A little bit there. A little bit there. So this whole fret is uniformly high. So that's an interesting one. A little bit right on the end, just right in that little area there. Tiny bit, the tiniest. Not really. Just when you get over to the edge of it. This one has a tiny bit. A little bit. And more. So right on the end here. Oh, that's up pretty high. A little bit. Up pretty high. Another one. Another one. So this whole fret is really high. Okay, so there's the ground truth on the frets. We've got some high frets. Now these are not glued frets. I believe none of the Fireflies will glue their frets in. Most guitars you'll get under $1,000, I'll claim, won't have glued frets. There are probably exceptions to that, but that means that these are just kind of pressed in and they can rise up as the wood moves. So in the next video, I'm going to take super glue and a fret clamp that I have, and I'm going to just lightly hammer them in with this is actually a gunsmithing hammer, but a guitar fret hammer like this. And then I'm going to put on wax and glue them in. So they'll be super glued in. At that point, they're stable and fixed to the wood. That'll transfer tone more efficiently to the guitar, but it will also allow me to then go and see if there's still any uneven frets. Again, I'll be pressing them down with a clamp though as I glue them in, so that'll likely eliminate a lot of the high spots just by keeping them pressed in and glue them in. But then any high spots I'll just fret level out and I'll have a perfectly playable neck. This neck does look pretty straight to me, although I'm no expert, but I was able to get the action fairly low. There's some buzzing, but I really think that's a result of this janky nut and also these frets, which there's obviously some significant fret height issues throughout here, which again, I think I can fix pretty easily. So I hope you'll stay tuned for that next video. So there we are. So moving down the guitar, in addition to the frets being not level, the edges, some of them are rough. They said this was a stainless steel ball-end fret guitar, but it's actually not. These are not stainless steel frets, I don't think. But either way, they're nice enough frets. they're a little bit rough on the edges. So I've got a file. In the next video I'll show how to file these edges down to make them really nice and smooth. That's another little project planned, in addition to bringing down the height on these inlays to be flush and also leveling all the frets. So there's a lot of work in store for this neck. Another thing I'm going to do to the neck is I'm going to sand it. I'm going to put a speed finish on it. I've got the supplies to do that, so stay tuned. That'll be in the video as well. That's going to dramatically change the playability of this. Right now the neck is a little sticky. The pickup in the bridge position, I believe is what this is, it no longer works in this position. It's like 1/4 the volume of the other two pickups, and it wasn't like that when I first got it. So probably a wire is loose or disconnected or something, but I'll get into that when I deal with all the electronics. I also might take off this plate, although it's rather nice. I'm just not sure if that's my thing to go with the pick guard. I'll make that decision as I go. You can tell that this hardware is the standard Tune-o-matic copy. I don't know how good this bridge is, but I already bought a better bridge to replace it with, so I've got one that I'll be putting in that I got from Amazon that has a good reputation. People seem to use them on Fireflies quite a bit, but we'll just replace that. I'm not sure if I'm going to leave in the inserts that these things screw into, or I'm going to try to replace the whole thing. We'll see. This I'm going to keep. I don't really see any issues with it. This is the kind that's kept on by pressure. There aren't any other things holding it on. I don't think it's magnetic, so you have to be careful when you change the strings. This thing falls off. It can damage your finish. This is a very shiny, glossy finish, of course, shows fingerprints very readily. One of the things I'm considering, let me know down in the comments what you think about it, but one of the things I'm considering is taking all the hardware off and sanding the whole body to a matte black finish, to that same finish as the back of the neck. Just do the whole thing. Thought that could be cool. That's probably more of a phase 2 change for this thing, but I think in phase 1, without a doubt, we deal with all the significant neck issues. And in addition, I'm going to replace these tuners with hipshot tuners that I've already got waiting to install. In terms of the electronics, I found these to be actually nice kind of friction connection. They're real solid. They don't turn real fast, so it's easy to keep them in the position you put them in. I just really like that about those knobs. I found the Firefly potentiometers to be decent in their feel. They use the large size pots. I don't know what that means exactly other than they're large, but I think there's issues with them, and I think you can do a lot better. I plan on replacing the electronics in all my Fireflies with good stuff because I want to learn how to do that as well. So all in all, this is just a beautiful guitar, even though it has some definite issues I pointed out, and maybe more as we get into the back and look at the electronics. Maybe we'll find more. But we've already stacked up a fairly decent list. I can tell you my other 3 Fireflies that I got did not have this level of issue, but this was an older one, and I'll show you why I can say that. Let's look at the serial number. Okay, you see that? What this means is it was made in Factory 3 in 2021, month 11, and it was the 3,886th guitar off the assembly line. So they made a lot of these, but this is old. This is like 3 years old, 2.5 years old. So who knows the journey it's been on, but it's now with me, and I'm going to transition it, including getting rid of these tuners, which are also junk. But ultimately, it's a pretty nice little guitar. They say it's made of mahogany. I can't vouch for that. I have no idea if it actually is. Phil McKnight did a video where he said that the one he had was not mahogany based on his assessment. You can see here, but I don't know if it is or isn't, so I don't make any claim. It's fine. It's kind of a heavy guitar, which I don't mind. I sort of like that in this style guitar. But you can see it's lighter in certain spots here. The finish just kind of fades out. So there's things like that. Maybe a little bit of issue. The finish not being perfect. None of that really bothers me. This neck feels pretty good. It's just that it's glossy, and of course I don't want that, so we'll be changing that, if not the whole thing. But initially I think just the neck. just the neck to start so we don't overdo it, but I definitely need to get that to a speed finish. The shape of it is nice, and there's no cracks around the neck to the body or anything like that, so it all seems pretty strong. Yeah, feels every bit of a Les Paul. I've never had an LP style guitar, but I sure am glad I have one now. And let's take a look inside these plates and see what we find. Look at all the sawdust in there. Holy moly. Now that's interesting. Nice big cavity. That'll make it easy to solder. It's my first Les Paul, so I'm not sure how this all works. I'm looking at the connections in here, and I don't see any that are obviously broken. So I'm not sure what is going on there. I might just go ahead and just rewire the whole thing, just to be sure of it. Now let's see if this is graphite. You know what? I think this might actually be graphite. It's hard to say, and sometimes they just put black paint in here, I've been told, and I believe that certainly. So I wonder if this is good. Oh, yeah. Okay, I think I see the issue here with the pickup. Yep, okay, this connection right here is all screwed up, so there's definitely an issue there. I suppose that could be the problem. I'll certainly try and resolder it to fix it. I got all the equipment to do that. I'm really surprised this is looking like it could be graphite. It's hard to tell, but it almost has that look. So maybe fancy, but nonetheless, this is not graphite. So what I'm going to do is I'll shield this whole cavity with copper shielding and ground it properly, and also shield the plate so it'll be completely encased there to the maximum extent possible, reducing background noise. Interesting to see the remnants of the factory, the sawdust, but this thing is certainly taking a long journey to get here, and we'll see what we can do with it. All right, now let's look at this. I suppose there's a problem there, something wrong with this switch. I suppose there's a chance there's something wrong with it. It's interesting. It actually does look like there might be a tad bit of corrosion in there. This is wobbling. I don't know. It's a little bit loose, I just realized, so that means that this loose? Doesn't really look like it. I don't know. These electronics are questionable. Yeah, that looks like graphite. Wow, interesting. Wonder why they would do that. But no graphite on this, of course. Interesting. I suppose I would need to shield this as well, now that I think about it, but I'm going to seriously consider these electronics, but we'll see how we can get those pickups going or not in the meantime. So there you have it. Thanks for watching Jedi Jingle Maker, this quick review of this Firefly FFSP. I hope you will stay tuned for the modification video to come, and also check out all my other videos and my original music on the channel. Let me know what you think of it. Get active in the comments. Thanks for watching Jedi Jingle Maker.